A major story is unfolding on the high seas as the US military, under the Drump administration, launches strikes against boats in international waters. This marks a dramatic shift from traditional anti-drug operations. Now, the military is using deadly force instead of just stopping and searching vessels. The administration claims these boats were carrying illegal drugs toward America, arguing that powerful cartels require a tougher response. For months, US forces have targeted vessels in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, with President Drump insisting these actions are necessary for national security. Critics, however, question the legality and wisdom of using military-grade weapons against civilian boats, warning of dangerous precedents. The strikes have drawn global attention, challenging international laws and raising concerns about America's relationships abroad. The debate centers on power, justice, and security. Decisive action to protect Americans, or a dangerous overreach, risking more violence. As the world watches, the consequences of this aggressive strategy could reshape global policy and the rule of law. The stakes are high, and the fallout could be felt for years to come. This is not just about drug boats. It's about the future of international norms and American leadership. The controversy is only beginning, with legal, diplomatic, and human costs mounting. Understanding what happened and why has never been more important. The decisions made now will echo far beyond the high seas. The Drump administration justifies the strikes as part of a broader war against narco-terrorists, linking drug smugglers to national security threats. President Drump and Defense Secretary Hegseth argue that these boats are key parts of violent, sophisticated networks moving drugs from South America. They claim traditional law enforcement can't keep up, so military action is necessary to disrupt supply routes and send a message to cartels. The administration frames the strikes as a defensive measure, stopping drugs before they reach American shores. Their narrative is one of strength and urgency, aiming to rally public support by emphasizing the dangers of drug trafficking. However, officials have provided few specifics, relying on broad claims about threats rather than concrete evidence. Critics say this approach stokes fear and justifies extreme measures without transparency. The administration's messaging is powerful, but the lack of details leaves many uneasy. The debate is as much about the story being told as the actions themselves. The government's strategy framed the campaign as unavoidable, even as questions multiply. The controversy over justification is far from settled. The strikes have sparked a diplomatic crisis, especially with Venezuela and Colombia, who deny the boats were theirs or involved in drug trafficking. These countries accuse the US of violating international law and acting without permission, escalating regional tensions. The Drump administration insists it acted on solid intelligence but has not shared proof, fueling skepticism among world leaders. Allies are uneasy, and other nations fear their own ships could be next. The dispute is about more than 4 boats. It's about whether one country can use force in international waters based on secret information. Trust between the US and South America is eroding, threatening cooperation on trade, security, and more. The fallout is straining relationships and making the region less stable. The controversy has become a test of international norms and American credibility. The world is watching to see if this approach will solve problems or create new ones. The diplomatic storm shows no sign of clearing. In Washington, the strikes have ignited a fierce debate over presidential power and legality. Lawmakers from both parties question whether President Drump had the authority to order attacks without Congress. The Constitution gives Congress the power to declare war, and many see these strikes as crossing that line. Legal experts warn this sets a dangerous precedent, using the military against civilian targets without oversight. The principle of checks and balances is at stake, with lawmakers demanding clear legal justification. The debate is about more than politics. It's about the rules that govern American democracy. If any president can define threats and use force unilaterally, where does that power end? The constitutional conflict is far from resolved. The strikes have come at a devastating human cost. Over 50 people killed, drawing outrage from human rights groups. Critics argue lethal force is disproportionate for suspected drug smuggling, especially when those killed had no chance for a fair trial. Survivors were reportedly released quickly, raising suspicions the administration wanted to avoid legal scrutiny. This bypasses due process, with the US acting as judge, jury, and executioner at sea. Human rights advocates say this undermines the justice America claims to uphold. The stories of the dead and survivors highlight the real-world consequences of high-level decisions. The loss of life adds a moral dimension to the debate, forcing a reckoning with the human price of this strategy. Should a war on drugs be fought with tactics that kill suspects without evidence? The lack of transparency only deepens the ethical questions. The campaign's human toll is impossible to ignore. The world is left to wonder if justice has been served or denied. The tragedy at sea haunts the policy debate. The campaign began in the Caribbean but quickly expanded into the Eastern Pacific, signaling the Drump administration's determination to escalate. US forces are now targeting multiple smuggling routes, making the operation larger and riskier. The Pacific is crowded with international shipping, raising the stakes for accidental conflict and diplomatic fallout. More countries are alarmed, worried about the safety of their vessels and the stability of vital trade lanes. At home, lawmakers and the public demand to know the endgame. What's the plan, and when will it stop? The expansion makes the campaign feel less like a limited operation and more like an open-ended war. The risks, casualties, diplomatic crises, and legal challenges are multiplying. The administration is pushing forward, but criticism is mounting from all sides. The global implications are growing, turning a regional issue into a worldwide controversy. The campaign's future is uncertain, with no clear resolution in sight. The world is watching as the stakes rise. The strikes have caused deep divisions within the US military, leading to high-profile resignations. Admiral Alvin Halsey's departure, reportedly over objections to the campaign, signals a crisis of conscience at the Pentagon. Such resignations are rare and suggest serious doubts about the legality and morality of the orders. The loss of experienced leaders destabilizes the chain of command and lowers morale among troops. When top officers resign in protest, it's a powerful warning that something is fundamentally wrong. The internal turmoil makes it harder for the military to function and erodes trust between civilian leaders and the armed forces. These resignations amplify public and congressional concerns. The controversy is not just political. It's shaking the foundations of the defense establishment. Pressure is mounting on the administration to respond. The Drump administration has waged a relentless campaign to win public support, labeling targets as narco-terrorists to justify military action. This language is designed to create fear and make extreme measures seem necessary. By linking drug smuggling to terrorism, the administration taps into national security anxieties. The message: America is under attack, and only strong action will protect it. However, officials have provided little concrete evidence, fueling skepticism and demands for transparency. Critics accuse the administration of using rhetoric to mask legal and moral shortcomings. The battle for public opinion is fierce, with the administration relying on messaging over facts. Without public support, continuing the campaign will be difficult. The gap between words and evidence remains a central issue. The administration's narrative is powerful, but far from universally accepted. The strikes have left a trail of unanswered questions and ignited a debate that won't fade soon. The core issues: national defense, international law, and human rights. Lawmakers demand transparency. Human rights groups document the toll. Journalists seek the truth. Diplomatic tensions threaten cooperation with South America, while legal challenges could reshape presidential power. Internal military divisions may have lasting effects on readiness and morale. This single policy decision has created ripples across the globe. The story is a reminder of how complex and far-reaching foreign policy can be. Actions taken for security can have unintended lasting consequences. The debate is about more than boats. It's about national character and global principles. As this story unfolds, these questions will remain at the center of the world's attention.